Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This video is brought to you by Smiley Face Coffee. Go all day with a smiley face. Go ahead and check it out like many already have. The link is in the description below. Now let's get started with today's story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user ConcernedGuy27. My 38 male friend, 36 male, went away to look after his ill mother. His wife, 35 female, and our friend, 34 male, have been overly affectionate and slept together. I don't know what to do. Hi, I have a pretty major issue going on with our circle of friends. And as a sort of outsider, I really don't know what to do. I'll give you the background with my friends. I, 38 male, have a really good group of friends, including James, 36 male, Nick, 34 male, Scott, 37 male, Lisa, 35 female, and Julia, 37 female. We're all pretty tight. Scott is married to Lisa. James, who I get along with the best, came out of a rough divorce and is skeptical of relationships. Nick is the least mature and youngest of us all and is divorced too. Julia is single and, to be honest, so busy with her career we hardly see her, but when she's out with us, we always have a great time. Unfortunately, Scott's mother is in the late stages of ill health. He's been back home in the US, looking after his mother with his family for a few months. He has trusted us all to look after Lisa, give her support, take her out, etc. We've all been doing a good job of that. When we've been going out, usually we've ended up at Scott and Lisa's to stay over. Plus, they have a dog that needs to be fed and taken out when we've been out all day. Lisa has always been a very cool person, always full of hugs, a great talker, and someone you can easily get along with. So we've been trying to give her the support we can while Scott has been going through rough times at home. Recently though, I've been seeing a pattern of over-affection between Lisa and Nick. Usually at the end of the night, we're all crashed out on sofas, talking and drinking, and they have been cuddling and caressing each other. I didn't think much of it at first because sometimes she'll be sitting close to either myself or James, depending on who sat where, but no caressing or anything. The last few times we've slept over there, I've gotten quite drunk where I've gone to bed early to sleep it off, but the last few times I've been trying not to drink too much and have seen Lisa and Nick be tender to each other in what I think is more than a friendly way. The last weekend we were over at Julia celebrating Nick's birthday during the day. We went back to Scott and Lisa's place, chilled out for a while, then went to bed. Nick decided to sleep on the sofa, and the rest of us in separate bedrooms upstairs. I had not had too much to drink that day and had sobered up by the time I went to sleep, but as I am a light sleeper, I could hear Nick snoring from downstairs. Then, after about an hour after I had issues going to sleep and was surfing on my phone, I heard Nick come upstairs, and I thought he was going to the bathroom. He didn't. He went next door into Lisa's room. I thought it was strange, but then I went to sleep. I woke up a few hours later, around 5ish, to go downstairs to grab some water. I didn't hear any snoring from the sofa area. I went in there and no one was sleeping. I sat down with the light on, drank a glass of water, then went back to bed. I was then woken up by Scott's dog saying hi to me and then set up surfing the phone again. The door was ajar. It was open a little, but the dog opened it more when the dog came in. And then when he left, I saw Lisa walk past the door to go downstairs to let the dog out. She came back upstairs and back into her room. Around 30 minutes later, I got up and started getting dressed. I then saw Nick leave Lisa's room through the ajar door and walk to the bathroom. After he finished in there, he came out. He was oblivious to me standing there and went downstairs. 5 minutes later, I went to the bathroom myself and then went downstairs for another glass of water. I spoke to Nick, who himself was surfing on his phone, lying on the sofa where he had slept, and said to him, "So, how long have you been down here for?" And he said, "I've been here all night, bro." Lie number 1. Very soon after, Lisa came downstairs and immediately said to Nick that he was crazy that he had slept here all night long. Lie number 2. I went out to my car to grab a USB cable to charge my phone, came in and just chilled until James came down. Everyone acted normal for the morning after the night before. My head then started spinning over the lies told, the fact that Nick and Lisa had slept, I'm assuming cuddling, etc. I hadn't heard any noises that might indicate anything more. Even sleeping with someone who is your friend's wife is a red line for me, let alone with the husband thousands of kilometers away dealing with the impending death of his mother. This remained on my mind for hours after, and on my drive home, I chatted to James about it, and he felt the same way I did. That this is something you don't do, especially in this family situation, and if they knew nothing untoward was going on, then why lie? Another thing to add is an experience I had when I was younger. I had another group of friends back when I was in my early 20s. One of my mates was living with his girlfriend. She was unfaithful and started a relationship with another of the guys in the circle of friends. It shattered it and left it in tatters, tons of infighting and drama. I never thought I could see something like this happen again. How do I deal with this? I don't like staying quiet, I don't like lying, but I don't want to add more drama to poor Scott and his current situation of being with his family thousands of miles away. What do I do? Well, OP, in my opinion, you gotta tell Scott, regardless of what's going on with his mom, which of course sucks that she's on her deathbed, but that doesn't mean he doesn't get to know about this. Now, I get the impression that in your head the scenario is that Nick was just comforting her by cuddling and not having sex with Lisa at all, just cause you didn't hear any sex noises from the room next to you. But the thing is, OP, you can be very quiet in having sex with somebody when you know that there might be someone in the room next to you that could listen. But like you said, regardless of if they had sex or not, that still is a line you just don't cross. And Scott should know. So here's what I would do if I was in your shoes. I would actually confront Nick and Lisa and tell them what I saw happen and all that I know right before I tell Scott. I would do this just to kind of gauge their reaction, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't tell Scott, and I would tell him right away so that they don't have a minute to come up with any kind of narrative where they make me the liar. And what do you guys think about this? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. 12we00 says, yeah, that's sketchy as F. I feel awful for Scott because he is dealing with some tough crap. I would recommend that you go over to Lisa's house, have a chat with her outside, tell her you're not staying long, but you need to get something off your chest. Quote, it's been a few months since Scott has been here. He's such a good dude and I feel awful for what he's going through. The group of us, he trusted us to look after you, but somehow I don't think he intended for Nick to spend the night in the room with his wife. You can cut the crap. I know you both lied the other day. Whatever comfort you may be getting in Nick, I hope you'll be honest with Scott about whatever transpired in that room. I don't presume to know, but when I see him next, I won't lie to him about where Nick slept. And OP responds, yep, with the amount of time, albeit a couple of days, since I have been processing this whole situation, I certainly see myself leaning towards what you suggest here. Most certainly about if Scott asks me if I know anything, I won't lie. The effing Riddler says, call or text Scott now. There's so many different ways this could end badly. You would want to know if it happened to you. You would want one of your friends to actually be a friend and tell you something that important. What Scott does with the information is up to him, but he deserves to know. Maybe you should pull back from hanging out with these two. P.S. This is exactly how men end up raising other man's kids without knowing. And OP responds, I may have to pull back with hanging with these two. In fact, I'm pretty much going to have to as Lisa is traveling to the US for the next 10 days. Scott's brother decided to get married while their mother is still alive. Maybe that may give her some perspective. I'm very certain that I won't be sleeping over their place anymore with Scott not being there. Ash1221M1328 says, tell the two of them to cut the crap and you will be telling Scott when he gets back and there is no way you are not telling him. If it keeps up, you will tell him sooner. Don't believe any BS stories they are going to try to tell you. You know what you saw. Additional information from OP's comments. My gut says I should confront Nick and Lisa and tell them what I saw. Then, allow them to explain themselves and make a decision from there. They've already lied twice to me, so I would suspect if they have something to hide, they will lie more. Right now, I don't know if it's anything sexual, but in my mind, and the mind of James, who I've had many deep conversations around relationships with, he has to vent due to his own nasty divorce. Sleeping in the same bed as a friend's spouse is a big no-no. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP needs to tell Scott. Now, some people are saying that he should tell Nick and Lisa first, but I don't think he should do that because that just gives them a heads up about what to do to make OP the liar and keep doing what they're doing. Anyways, it's time to move on to the update, but before that, I'm just gonna quickly remind you all to please give Smiley Face Coffee a shot. I know you'll enjoy it. The link is in the description below and on the top right corner of the screen right now. Now, let's move on with the update. Hi everyone, it's been a while and a lot has happened in the past few weeks. Thanks for your replies. I read them all and they gave me a lot to consider. It's yet another night where I've barely slept a few hours and I'm afraid that there isn't a happy ending here. I just couldn't tell Scott while he was in the States. Actually, with his brother's wedding and looking after his mother, he barely had time to call home at all. I did, however, confront Lisa and Nick separately about what I saw. They both denied it. Nick's defense was thin. He kept asking why I couldn't have seen him when I went into the sofa area to drink my water. He simply refused to believe I saw him leave Lisa and Scott's room while I was getting dressed. I couldn't do that to my friend, he kept saying. Lisa had mentioned that she had spent the night awake with the lamp on, just staring out the window, and that she had no idea what Nick was doing as he was downstairs. This rang alarm bells because 1. She always sleeps with the door open due to the dog and she never had the light on, and 2. She went downstairs to let the dog out and came back upstairs, all before I saw Nick leave their bedroom. How did he mysteriously appear in there only to leave? Unless he was hiding, she must have known he was in there. She then started telling me that I must have imagined it, but thanked me for having the courage to speak out for what I think I saw. Gaslighting at its best. Scott flew home for a couple of weeks break. He needed time away from the situation over there. I promised to pick him up from the airport and did so. I told him what I saw on the way home, the whole thing, as I wrote it here, and emphasized that I never saw or heard anything that I thought was sexual going on. His response was one of appreciation for looking out for him, but way more muted than I thought it might be. When we got to his place, I found out that Lisa wasn't actually there. She'd been out partying elsewhere the night before. This struck me as strange because they hadn't seen each other in what was months. Fast forward to last weekend and we were there due to go out to a barbecue with the whole group of friends. Scott sent me, James and Nick a text to say that there was a sudden change of plans and that he needed to get away from the house. We all met up at James's place and he told us that Lisa wanted a divorce. She said that she wasn't in love with him anymore and that their goals in life were no longer the same. Well, unless Scott wanted to sleep with Nick, but I guess not. She didn't want anything of theirs, including the house, the dog, anything. It was like a bomb hit him and me. I later found out Lisa had told James of her desire to divorce Scott about 5 months ago. James had gone through his own messy divorce and she confided in him. We all rallied around Scott, who was emotional as you can imagine, dealing with his dying mother and the impending divorce and ending of a long marriage. So that's where we're at. Lisa has said that she will hang around to support Scott during the next few weeks, but their relationship is ending. We're already at the point where we as friends are starting to make separate social arrangements with the both of them, even though they're still living under the same roof. It sucks, and it reminds me of the messy crap that happened with me and another group of friends earlier in my life. Personally, I've gone through the usual emotions, shock, denial, anger, and I think I'm now at ease, just facing the fact that it's no longer going to be the same among us all. I spoke with Scott and he had the feeling all wasn't great with his relationship with Lisa. He had a back injury around a year ago that resulted in some extensive rehab and a lack of sex drive, and that the small financial consulting firm he was running had experienced a bumpy periods before picking up spectacularly before the end of the year. But he was sure that all of the troubles they could work out like they always had. I don't know what is going to happen with Lisa. She has a job in the city that she enjoys, but doesn't pay well for what it is, and it's not enough for her to pay for her own apartment. There is one detail that I think I should have included in the original thread. Nick's future wishes. He works in the tourism industry on the other side of the country, a few thousand kilometers away. He worked there before only to have to come back over here due to a lack of money. He wants to move back over there next year. If something were indeed happening between Nick and Lisa, it would be very convenient for her to fly off with him. That's my thought after processing this whole mess. I guess we will find out next year if she sticks around here or if the real truth comes out and she flies off to a new life with one of Scott's best friends. Well, Pete, regardless of what's going to happen with Lisa and Nick and where they may fly or not fly off to, you told Scott what you knew. You were a good friend. And it sucks what happened regardless of what you said or not to Scott, but the thing is, it was going to happen anyways. So I'd say your conscience is clean, you did good. Thanks so much for sharing, OP, and take care. Now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Rotom Tumba. I used my meal plan to feed over 120 less fortunate people. This happened during my freshman year of college about 20 years ago. My university had just invested in a big new dining hall, and to help pay for their investment required all new students to buy a 150 meal plan for both semesters. This was a big financial burden being from a lower middle class family, but my parents pooled funds to help me out and make it happen. Shortly into my first semester, I found out from friends that the meals you didn't use didn't roll over. Since I lived off campus, I knew I wouldn't be able to use them all. Heading into November, I realized I would end up with 60 to 75 meals left, and I complained about this to a lot of family and friends because it seemed like such a waste. In comes the plan. My freshman year of college was also my cousin's senior year, and we hung out pretty often. He was the biggest trickster or prankster type you've ever met. One night, while we were drinking, he said, "What if you brought a bunch of homeless people to use up your meals? How much would that piss off those self-righteous bastards?" We laughed all night, but the more I thought about the idea, the more I really started to like it. We talked all weekend about it and hatched a plan. On Monday morning, we went down to the local Salvation Army around the corner. I have grown to really despise this organization, but in the early 2000s in small town USA, it's what we had. We told the lady at the desk I would like to feed people in need with my meal plan. She was hesitant at first, but said she was working with people that this would be a huge blessing to, especially during the holiday season. She helped me organize 2 days the following week where around 30 people would meet me to eat at the dining hall. I would wear a certain hat so they could find me, and we would eat together. The day finally arrived and all kinds of people were there. There were homeless people in tattered clothes. There were families with kids that seemed excited to eat out. There was even one family I will always remember that seemed embarrassed to take a handout, but I made an effort to talk to everybody and make them feel welcome. At noon, we headed into the dining hall. I walked up to the lady at the entrance and said, "These people are with me. They are my friends. I would like to swipe them in." She looked confused but reluctantly said okay. To say we got every reaction humanly possible would be an understatement. There were staff that were obviously annoyed with the influx of diners. There were students who were laughing. There were students who were giving me their silent clap. There were snobbish faculty members who seemed to be disgusted at the type of people coming into the dining hall. I didn't care at all. Eventually, a head staff member came up and said they knew what I was doing and they didn't like it. I said, "These are my friends eating with me. I paid for these meals. Am I doing anything wrong?" She was stumped. The next day, the same situation happened with the same reactions. I had caused quite a stir on campus, and it just so happened that the university president was eating there that day. She came up to me and said even though she would ask that I not tell my friends to do the same thing with their meals as the staff couldn't handle the influx of diners, she was proud that her students had the heart to do something for others like that. The following semester, I did the exact same thing. I even used my meals sparingly so I could bring more people. The one memory that will always stick out in my head is the family with the little kids so excited to go to the pizza bar and soft serve ice cream machine, giggling the whole time. To this day, it's still one of the proudest moments of my life. Me and my friends and family still have a drink and chuckle over the story and the snooty angry reactions I got. Wow, OP, this was an awesome malicious compliance. You were forced to buy meals that you may not be able to use, and you made sure that instead of going to waste, they would go to somebody who needed them. Good for you, OP. Thank you so much for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.